Oh, we're live. Are we live? Yeah, we're live. Go ahead, Eddie.
Welcome to Real Estate for Everyone with Kristina Smallhorn. Today, we're digging into the housing market that is already being spun into the next big good feel. Oops, sorry.
Forget it. Eddie tried to do an intro. Poor guy.
YouTube played on the other side. Sorry. Let's try this again. Welcome to Real Estate for Everyone with Kristina Smallhorn. Today, we're digging into the housing story that is already being spun into our next big feel-good prediction. NAR is out there calling for a strong comeback in 2026, but when you look at the numbers, the story doesn't line up. Florida condo prices have taken their biggest hit since the last crash. Everyday affordability is getting hammered by rising costs on food, housing, childcare, and healthcare. And the new data shows buyers are still getting squeezed, even as inventory shifts. So the question is simple. If everyone is supposedly getting better, why do the numbers look worse? Kristina's breaking down the disconnect, exposing the spin, and showing you actually what you need to be watching heading into 2026. Let's get started.
Fantastic, Eddie. Fantastic intro. I love you. Thank you so much. So I saw the comment come in from MH0862. He says, why does Kristina look surprised on all of her thumbnails? Why am I always doing this? Because you know what? Some of the stuff that they put in these articles is shocking and surprising. If you didn't hear, NAR made an announcement about 2026 saying that, you know what? The market is going to turn around. In what direction? So we're going to be looking at that a little bit further. It was one of those articles that I read this morning and I was like, Eddie, listen to this. So I was like, I changed the whole subject of this live stream just because of that one article, because I had something else planned, but we're still going to talk about those things, the other things that I wanted to talk about today too, which is, we're going to be talking about what's going on in the Florida housing market as far as condos, because I have a little personal, I guess, perspective on this that I'd love to reflect on since I'm a little bit older and a little bit wiser. And I saw the last crash with the condos in Florida. So, and then we're going to be talking about the affordability crisis, because it's weird to me now that whenever you open up articles, when it comes to housing, they're all spinning it in a completely different direction. You listen to one of them and it's like, foreclosures are on the rise. People can't pay for their mortgage. And then the next article is like, oh, our numbers aren't anywhere near they were in 2019. And it's, everything's going to be fine. Everything's fine. And nothing reflects this more than this article that came out from NAR. I do want to go ahead and give a little shout out to MH08 because he was in here early, or she, I'm not sure, 100% sure. Lawnmower is here. Hello there, Lawnmower. Kaylee in the city, the first. Hello, my friend. G-Jack, welcome. So good to see you. All right, we got Robbie and we got Sue and we have, who else do we got here? Do you guys remember Robert Stomper? Oh, hey, Melissa. It's good to see you, my friend. Melissa has a channel that tells you how to build your house yourself. I've shouted her out a couple times. She has a great channel. All right. Somebody says they are lying, period. It's bad out here and it's getting worse. Well, I can't wait for you to hear what the NAR has to say. This was so irresponsible, in my opinion. All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and show you this article. The title of this article is, hold on, let me go ahead and share this screen. The title of the article is Housing Market Set for a 2026 Comeback. NAR predicts. NAR is the National Association of Realtors. Realtors. All right, here we go. So I've taken your advice and asked no longer for Eddie to share the articles. Only I will be sharing the articles from here on out. Can you guys see this article? I don't think you guys can see it. Stop screen share.
Well, there's my layout. Officially in the layoff, correct?
What's that now?
I've been officially laid off from doing articles.
Yes, you have. Here we go. All right, here it is. Housing market is set for a 2026 comeback. NAR predicts. All right, I'm going to just jump right down to this. This is the chief economist Lawrence Yun, the National Association of Realtors, forecasting a 14% nationwide increase in home sales for 2026, following 2025's stagnant level. New home sales are also projected to rise to 5% next year. Next year, this is his quote, next year is really the year we're going to see measurable increase in sales. Yoon told attendees Friday on the Residential Economic Issue Trends Forum. Rising sales won't come at the expense of stability. Home prices nationwide are no longer in danger of declining, according to him. According to him, he said NAR expects prices to climb 4% in 2006 and supported by a job growth, persistent supply shortages. Hold on, let me get down to the part that really was like, what are you talking about? Hold on, let me hold on, where is it? It was about job growth. Here it is. The groundwork for the rebound may already be forming. Mortgage applications are trending higher. Job gains remain steady. Home builders continue to add supply, and the record-breaking 43-day government shutdown that could have delayed more recent home sales is finally over. Where is the job market stable? Like, is he reading the same numbers I am? I feel like we're being totally gaslit with this article. I believe they're being overly optimistic because everything that I've seen is we've seen a decline in jobs and there are layoffs all over the country. Am I delusional or is this delusional? You let me know. All right, here's his quote. It says, mortgage applications have been consistently above last year, implying that people's desire to enter the market has consistently been positive. In last week, mortgage applications for the home purchases surged 31% higher compared to a year ago, according to the Bankers Association reporting. Mortgage rates remain in one of the biggest constraints for home buyers, sitting around 7% at the end of the year. A 30-year fixed rate mortgage averaged around 6.24%, according to Freddie Mac this week. Yoon expects gradual improvement as we go into next year. The mortgage rates will be a little bit better. It's not going to be a big decline, but it'll be a modest decline to improve affordability. But here's the problem. If you're predicting home prices to increase by 4%, and let me just say that where home prices are now, it shuts out a lot of people, even if you made the mortgage interest rate at 0. And then you add that they're just going to be a little bit better. It's like it's a wash. There's not going to be that much affordability. Every time this is the part that ticks me off. Every single time there is a slight shift in the mortgage interest rates, they say affordability is back, but they leave out the key component that home prices over the last 5 years have nearly doubled in many areas. They're 50% higher than they were 5-6 years ago. It's ridiculous. And then on top of it, like you're going to tell people when they've had the same wages that they had 5 years ago, affordability's back because we went down 0.5%. I mean, I think it's like a kick in the teeth and like an insult to our intelligence. Affordability is not back. Maybe it's affordability for a very select few, but a lot of people are really struggling. And for them to say that, I don't know. It pisses me off, honestly. He forecasts the rates above around 6% in 2026, that down from the roughly 6.7% for the average year, which, I mean, that's good, especially if you need to refinance. While the Federal Reserve has initiated rate cuts, Yoon cautioned mortgage rates are influenced by a wide of mixed factors, including inflation. Treasury yields in federal borrowing, so buyers shouldn't bet on a 3% rates to return. Still, even minor decreases in mortgage rates can unlock substantial buyer activity, he said. Who's the buyer? The market will have its haves and haves not. The path to 2026 rebound won't look the same as the market, as today's housing market remains deeply uneven. The upper end market has been doing much better than the lower end. Shocking, because mortgage rates don't mean anything to them. Yoon said that with a robust inventory, strong financial market fueling activity, sales around in the 750 to a million price range have seen some largest gains. Meanwhile, inventory remains constrained for lower price points. I'd argue with that too. We have the haves and have-nots. First-time home buyers are really struggling to get in, while those who have housing equity are building credit. Yes, I will agree with that. According to NAR's newest release in 2025 profile of buyers and sellers, first-time home buyers dropped to an all-time low of 21%, while below the 40% norm. There's much older than the past, with the median age of 40 years old. We talked about that last week. The median age of the first-time home buyer is now 40 years old. Young adults still aspire to home ownership, but obstacles remain steep, and like high rent, student loan debt, childcare costs, add insurance and food to that. Better financial education, down payment assistance, and special loan programs like FHA might help. We'll see about that. Hey, Clark, how are you? So if you guys have any questions about this, let me know. Yeah, the 50-year mortgage is a joke. And you know what? I had somebody like in the comment section after this was posted last week saying that, that the 50-year mortgage isn't necessarily a bad idea. It's a tool to get you into your home so that way you can build equity on it, that you go in there with the understanding that you're only paying the mortgage, but after that time, you are like after a period of time you save money because you're not paying rent, and then all of a sudden now you're saving that money that you would be paying in rent and putting it towards getting a down payment for refinancing. I mean, the thing is, I don't know how many people actually do that and use it that way. No, I've seen over my lifetime that many people do like a 30-year loan, and after 10 years, they do a 15-year loan because the interest rates in it, because the interest rates have come down. But a lot of people use the equity to do other things in life, like pay for their kids' college or whatever. So I don't know. Proud Liberal 24 says, how realistic is a 50-year mortgage? Will it happen or not? What is the upside? Okay, so the 50-year mortgage, that idea is nothing new. It's been floating around for quite some time. And there is a product out there for a 40-year mortgage. The thing is, it doesn't sell, because what happens is that when you see that amortization chart, you realize the first, 20 years, all you're really doing is paying the interest, and you're not doing anything towards the principal of the house. With that being said, like I said, some people use it as a tool so that way they can save money because the payment is so low. But it's not a thing. People don't do it. The product has been out for the 40-year and it didn't sell. And then the blowback from the 50-year mortgage from a lot of experts has been huge. The only people that I've seen that have been like, oh yeah, 50-year mortgage, let's do it, are greedy real estate agents and lenders. Because the only ones who really win in this are greedy real estate agents and lenders. It's not financially smart. And I'm a real estate agent, and if I wanted you to be in something that, and I push for affordability, but I don't think in the long run it's necessarily solving the affordability crisis when we have a shortage of supply of houses to begin with. So if you offer this 50-year mortgage with a shortage of supply, you are allowing for more home buyers to enter the market, which is a good thing. But the supply is so low. So what is that going to do? All that's going to do is drive up the price for the most affordable homes again. We'll see it will be a 20 all over again when you see home prices just start to rise in the lower sector of housing. So now the starter home in your area that in 2020 was $250,000. Now it's almost $425,000. Now it's going to go up even further to like 575,000 because you have entered a product that makes it more accessible for people because the payment is so low. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea. And if you, yes, this is live. This is live. It's recorded and it's live. Somebody asked if this is a live stream. Yes. So I forgot what I was saying, but it's a bad idea. If you look back at the history of the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, home prices before that were very affordable. Then they came out with the 30-year, and that's when you saw the sharpest inclines of pricing because of the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. I'm not saying that's the only thing that drove up home prices. I'm saying it's definitely one of the factors that started making home prices, first of all, more accessible to people, but it also drove up the price of those homes as well. So I finally caught a live question. I was watching your videos on lunch. Do you still make videos or just lives? I do make videos. Forgive me, Jared. I'm going to tell you the God honest truth. We're in the middle of moving four families, and it has been very hectic. We're moving from one state to another state, and my time has been very all over the place, scattered all over the place. I also run an education course for real estate agents, and I'm the only one because I had a business partner that had to step away. So I'm running that all by myself as well. I'm going to be making long form videos again. I have a big one coming up really soon about a very affordable home for people that are looking for like a temporary affordable housing option. With that being said, yes, I'm getting back into it. I will be making videos again. I just had to take a pause from that. I didn't want to stop making anything. So I was doing the live streams. And if you see, I do put out 2 shorts a week on Mondays and Fridays, and you'll be getting those as well. So, those are easy for me to edit and put out because they're only a couple minutes long. The long forms are a beast. I don't know if you know this, but I edit all my videos myself. All of this stuff that you see on the channel, I do everything myself, the thumbnails, the titles, everything. I don't have a team behind me. So my time is stretched thin right now. I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody. Hello from Pennsylvania. Hello, Savvy. How are ya? Sassy. Melissa says, in our market, November, December, and January is the best time to buy. Not as much competition, and the interest rates drop just a little bit. Won't help if there is more demand in the spring. Yeah. Yep. I believe you're in Utah. I saw that you guys had in St. George had a little decrease in price. The plus I'm buying in the wintertime is that you can get more deals because, first of all, the sellers are in a situation where they know that like they have to sell. Most people don't really want to sell in wintertime because of the fact of the holidays and the whole 9 yards. But if you're a buyer, that is a plus for you because they're in a situation they have to sell. So they're in a situation that they're more eager to negotiate. But I will say this, the amount of homes that usually are on the market during that time of year is slim pickings. So whenever you are looking, when you find that good one, hold to it tight. That's what I'll say. When you find a good one, hold on to it tight and make a good offer, but still negotiate. I mean, this is the time where you finally, the buyers have more leeway. Not all markets are going to be like that. I know that some areas of New Jersey are still competitive. All along the northeast, you're still, getting offers over asking price. I get that. But anywhere else, talk to your local real estate agent, make a deal. And you know what? Go in low. What's the worst they can say? No. It's just paperwork. Do another deal. Try to negotiate. So Carl said average home buyer is now 40. So they'll be 90 when it's paid off their home. But will retire at 65. The math don't math. Well, they really want to raise the retirement age to 72. They want to raise the retirement age to 72. Yeah. Carl says, you want a 15-year mortgage? Or not a 50. Yes. You want a 15-year mortgage. That is right. Not a 50. Yeah. 15-year mortgages work for a lot of people. I know that, Dave Ramsey's a big proponent of that. I think that though, like getting into your first mortgage, using something like an FHA mortgage, paying it off for a few years, and then deciding to do a 15-year mortgage, I think that's fine. You shave off 5 years and you get a better interest rate, and it just gets you in the door. So if you hear some weird crunching noises and some noise, like just weird noises in the background, I have my dog here. Daisy. I don't know if you can see her. She wanted to stay in here today. She was gung ho to be a part of the live stream. So Daisy's in the house, but it's not me making noises. It's Daisy, I swear. MH08, it says 65 retirement is a myth. Full retirement age is now 67. People have 65 stuck in their minds. I think that's because of the when you can file for Social Security, like you can file at 65. That's when that all came about. But my dad retired at 50 years old. He's been retired for 30 years. No, he's been retired longer than that. He's been retired for 35 years. Eddie's known me. The only time my husband has known me, my dad has been retired. Isn't that amazing? Golly. I wish I had that. Pats fan. Go Pats. Happy Sunday, everyone. Good to see you. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. And without further ado, though, we're going to go ahead and share another article. And this is about the Florida housing market. I'm not in Florida, but I want to share a little bit of insight on this. Okay. Florida condo prices suffer the biggest decline since the housing market crash. Okay. Condo prices in Florida have dropped 9.9% in the last 12 months, the largest decline in a year since the housing market crashed in 2009. This is another YouTube. Nick Gerli, a CEO of real estate data consulting company, Readventured, shared a data compiled on Company X. Why it matters. Okay. I'm just going to share my perspective on this. I lived in Florida back in my day when the last crash was. And the thing was, at that time, they had overbuilt for the market. There was condos going everywhere, and they were building them right next to older condos. They were gargantuan. And then all of a sudden they overbuilt for the area, because how many people are actually going to be moving to condos on the beach? A lot of them are going to be timeshares, everything else. But then the crash happens, and a lot of these buildings didn't even get finished. They didn't even get finished. The market starts to recover. They start finishing up these buildings. They have a really reasonable rate. Well, condos had a bigger problem on top of it. Those older buildings that have been there for eons did not meet building codes. They had this big, very unusual happening of a condo that had fallen into, like, completely just fell apart. It just crumbled, and people were living inside, and many people lost their lives. That made Florida have a knee-jerk reaction and start implementing all these rules that all of these condo associations needed to follow. And they had like this big inspection. And a lot of condo associations were collecting dues. And those dues, in order to get people to move in, were kept artificially low. And now they have to reassess a lot of those condos. When you had that reassessment, there were people that were getting bills, sometimes in hundreds of thousands of dollars, to update sidewalks, plumbing issues, foundation issues, roofing issues, the wrong kind of fire stairs. Some of these places basically needed a complete remodel and regut because it didn't address those issues for the last 20, 30 years. And now they had to be compliant with the new state rules. I don't fault the homeowners. I fault the associations, because they, like I said, they artificially kept those rates too low over a longer period of time than they should have. And they should have addressed those issues over the years. So some people have gone into full foreclosure. I watched a girl who had bought her condo in 2017. And then she got an assessment in the mail of $30,000. Now she was a single person and she doesn't have $30,000 to invest. And then she was like, well, maybe I'll just get a second mortgage. Well, then on top of it, another assessment comes in for another $20,000 because of the stairs and everything. Most people don't have that on spare to just hand out to the homeowners association. So she chose like to do a short sale. And in order to get it short sale, she rolled in those assessment fees into it. She had to negotiate that whole thing to get it done. And instead of getting the, and when she eventually short sailed, she actually had to still take on that $30,000 debt, but she was able to pay it over time for the assessments in order to get it sold. She was like debating just to go into complete foreclosure instead of doing the short sale. I don't know her whole financial situation, but if it was me, I would have been like, oh, they would have gotten the money somewhere somehow, especially if she had it somewhere saved. So that's the situation with condos in Florida. You have the taxes, you have the insurance, and you have the reassessments. In some areas, because they're considered high risk, the insurance is so incredibly high. Some people that have it paid off or have their condo paid off are opting to not even have insurance. But the way that the HOA reads, they have no choice but to keep the insurance. It's wild. It's wild. But that's what's going on with Florida condos. And that's what a lot of the reduction in price, when you see the overall picture of what's going on in Florida, and people are like, oh, the housing prices are dropping like a rock. It's mostly the housing in the condo sector. Not so much on single family homes. I'm not saying all areas are like that. I'm just saying that's what the majority is. Proud Liberal 24 says, what is the solution to the current stalemate? Sellers not listing and buyers not buying. Do we demand increased wages? Do we buy rural, more affordable areas? This is going to be individual for what you need. I just put out a short over the weekend where I was just talking about, if you're young and you want to get into real estate and you don't want to pay rent anymore, it's very possible for you to buy a piece of land and start with that. You just buy the piece of land. You get yourself a land loan where you can roll in the improvements to that piece of land. I'm talking the well, electricity, and the internet. And then just start paying that for a period of time until either A, you can save for a down payment to have a home built, or B, you can see if you were able to put a temporary tiny house onto that piece of property. I'm going to show you the company that I mentioned in that live stream because they have like these temporary container homes. And it's not a scam, shockingly. It's not a scam. Let me show you the houses. And here we are. Share. Okay. This is Chomex. They build houses as low as $20,000. They have some that are 25. Here's some that are 25. Well, we can get a camouflage one for 25,000. They even have larger, more modern looking ones for up to 52,000. These are an affordable temporary housing solution so you don't have to pay rent. I would not live in these for 30 years, but it gives you the option to not have to pay a landlord. And, the way that everything is designed now, it doesn't make it very easy for younger people to get into the property ladder. So this is your way around that. It's going to be easier for you to find it on recreational property to put something like this on it. In most states, they'll allow for it on recreational properties. But if some states, it's like Maine wouldn't have a problem with this. If you were thinking about generational living, you could put one of these in your backyard and you can have a young kid live in there until he gets on his feet. This is a solution to the problem. Some people said to me, well, this is ridiculous. This is the solution, that we're making people live in cardboard boxes. The thing is like, at least it's an option. There's something out there as an option at the moment, because no one else is giving any other solution to the problem. And is it the best solution in the world? No, the best solution in the world would be find affordable pieces of property for kids younger than me, to be able to buy a house like I did when I was 27 years old, and have them have the ability to get in a nice fixed rate FHA mortgage. That's another solution to the problem, is offering them some down payment assistance, but we can't do that until they build more houses. And I've always said this, and I always maintain this. You can build as many houses, you can build 160 houses in a month if they would just start allowing for modular construction. By the way, modular construction homes are built exactly like traditional stick-built homes. The reason that they're built so much faster is that it's done in a factory, and they're bringing those modules to the location. So they can pop out the same floor plan all day long, every day. Boom, 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 boom. And they have the ability to do it. Not only that, robotics makes it even easier. But the red tape and the bureaucracy with that is ridiculous. They make it very difficult for modular home builders. They actually have to go through a lot more inspections and red tape than it does for traditional home build, even though their houses are built better. It would really help with the workforce too, because the people that can show up to the same factory over and over again are going to be more likely to stay than sitting there in the hot, brutal sun and not knowing where they're going to work from month to month to month, because as they built the house, it's now in a new location, a new subdivision down the road. It could be solved quicker if they just listen to me, but I don't make the rules. So Michelle says, my husband just passed the end of December. I'm so sorry to hear that. My two sons and I want to buy a few acres of land and put our own houses on it. Do you know who makes the best manufactured homes in Tennessee? I don't know who makes the best in Tennessee, but I would tell you that I would be I'd start looking online in your local area. If you find a manufactured home that you really like, and ask them what they think. And how their experience with that particular home builder in their areas. Because let me just put it this way. You can buy a national home. I'm just going to give an example. If you could buy a Clayton home here in Louisiana and use the same builders that put them together, and it turned out just fine. But then somebody in Massachusetts gets a Clayton home and has the builders put it together, and they have nothing but leaks, and they don't come out and fix it and all this other stuff. You just have to do your independent research for your local area to see how, because usually it's not the house itself that's the issue. It's the people that deliver and actually put the house together that causes all the problems. The bigger names when it comes to manufactured housing are not the best on getting back to people when there is an issue. My recommendation to you is that before you sign on anything that they promised, be sure that it's written on that contract. You are to not sign anything until you see with your own two eyes in black and white that they are going to do the things they promised you to do. I know those salespeople are like, oh, don't worry about it. We got it all covered. If it's not written on the contract, it means diddly squat. And there's no repercussion to them lying to you. They're not under any kind of supervision for lying. And it ends up being a lot of predatory stuff. Just anything they promise, make sure it's on that contract and it's in writing. If you're unsure of that, go to an attorney, a title attorney friend, have them look over it and ask them questions, because they're going to give you the straight up answers on what that means for you. So Kristina, will you take your tiny office building with you when you move? No, this stays with the house. I'm not going to move this building. If you guys don't know, there in my backyard, there is it's like it looks like a tiny house from the outside, but the inside, there's no bathroom or anything, but it's fully not fully plumbed, fully wired. And it has, of course, internet in here as well. So anybody can use this as an office. I thought that would make it more enticing for someone to purchase. So Amy says, I have a modular home deal with a lot available in NOLA area, Lower Ninth. Clayton Homes will do the land and the home financing. They are insured also. Thank you, Amy. Excuse me, I had to take a little sippy sip. My dog. My dog. All right, we got another article we need to look because this one's about affordability. All right, she has green. All right, housing affordability. Here we go. America's deepening affordability crisis summed up in 5 charts. I don't know why we have the Halloween thing in the background. Because it's Thanksgiving, by the way. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Although inflation across America is far cooler than post-pandemic years, millions of Americans say they still feel the pinch of rising prices, struggling to pay bills, and express concern about financial prospects. I'm included in this. I don't know if you guys are. I am. Prices are nowhere near the level they reached in June of 2022, and the consumer price index hit a 40-year high of 9.1%. Yet many people feel the squeeze by cost of simple daily necessities, including food, affordable, healthy food, and long-term increases in the cost of essentials like housing and healthcare. But this was the part that I wanted to show you. Forget about the food. Let's look at this chart when it comes to housing. Look at this, the affordability gap. This is where we were prior, like right at the pandemic. It was the affordability was there because of the fact that home interest rates were so low and home prices were still reasonable. If you guys don't remember, I remember it clearly. At the beginning of the pandemic, people were like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right where I'm at. You know, like there was a stall in the housing market at the beginning of 2020. Even though the interest rates were going down, but the lower the interest rates went down, the more affordability was there, even though home prices were inching up just a little bit. And it wasn't until the end of 2022 that you saw home prices where they were getting out of reach for a lot of people because they had really blown up there for a minute. And then ever since then, even though we hit like what they call a soft recession, and then, home, like the prices for food, essentials, healthcare costs, all these things have continued to go up. Home prices still have not come down, not to an affordable level for a majority of people. And here we are again. And not only that, since 2020, at the end of 2023, they said that we would see rents coming down. Home rents were going to come down. And in some areas they have, but for the majority of the areas, rents have not come down to an affordable level. A lot of people are spending almost 40% of their monthly income just for a roof over their head. That's not including water, gas, electricity. That's it. Just the actual physical building themselves. And it all comes down to we just don't have enough affordable homes for people to live in. This is where we're at. This was interesting to me too, because people that are in young families, I feel really bad. I feel fortunate in the fact that I was able to raise my kids when I did. But even when I was young, raising kids and having childcare was super expensive. But now it's to the point of ridiculousness. $13,000 per kid. $13,000 per kid to have them in childcare. That's an average. And in some areas, it's more than that. And then if you have 2 kids, you're looking to close to $30,000 a year. That's a price of a small compact car. And most people don't pay $30,000 off on a car in a year. and then you're asking young families to be able to pay that. We're getting the squeezed, man. And then I don't know, have you guys redid your insurance yet? That is excruciatingly high in comparison to what it was 5 years ago. It is wild how much homeowners insurance, healthcare insurance has gone up. So I just thought this was a really interesting article that is showing in charts exactly how much the affordability crisis, not just, even Daisy's upset about it, not just for homes, but for everything. So I'm gonna forgive me. I'm gonna let my dog out because she's crying. Do you guys hear her? Poor Daisy. Hold on, Chicky. Come on. You can go out. Daisy, come on. Oh, now she doesn't want to go out. I swear dogs are like toddlers. She's like, I don't want to go out. Not like that. Do you want pets? I can give you pets. Can you guys see her? Come here, Daisy. Poor dog. She's not little. She is. She thinks she's a little dog. This is my daughter's dog. And she's just a baby. Just a little baby. So if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll go ahead and answer those. Let's see. They always, look at Montana and Idaho. They went from backwaters to multi-million-dollar luxury suburbs in less than 10 years. I know this all too well because my aunt lived here and then moved to Montana. And her home now is way more than it was when she first purchased it. But she lived in Wyoming before that. And her little house was just a house, don't get me wrong, kept perfect. Her house, it was like a museum. It was like a time capsule. It was kept exclusively well. Anyway, her house, which she bought for like, I think $15,000, she ended up selling for like $450,000. It was wild. And now she's moved to Montana and it's gone up. And if you friend who talks about Bozeman, Montana, and the home prices there were going up way before the pandemic. But then, of course, the pandemic came about and it went crazy. It went crazy. And the locals that have lived there, that are from that area, that town, are having to find solutions because they will never accept or allow, they always get to vote down for affordable housing like apartments. Because all the people that live in the area with the big pockets, they always voted down. They were like, oh no, I'll bring down my property value. I don't want apartments in my area. Well, where do you expect people that work in the area to live? So people are converting their garages and ADUs in the backyard. That's the only solution. So Proud Liberal 24 says, never compare mortgage directly to rent. Ownership comes with repairs, regular maintenance, insurance, property tax, HOA fees, etc. I agree, but I'm going to tell you this. 10 years of renting over 10 years owning a home, all you're doing is paying the landlord's mortgage, right? And sure, stuff happens. I almost said a potty word. Stuff happens when you own a house, but I think that there's more of an upside in owning a piece of real estate. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a real estate agent. I just know that if I didn't get into buying a house when I did, and I was scared to death, I don't think I would have ever gotten into purchasing a home. And the equity position that afforded my husband and I, we're fortunate enough because of that we've paid these mortgages over the years. We now have increased our equity so much that we are able to, help our kids get their house and then help my parents get into their house. We wouldn't be able to do that if I hadn't gotten into real estate in the first place. So yes, I understand there is a caution and a warning that needs to be explained to people, especially when they're buying their first home, that first off, your mortgage payment will change because your homeowner's insurance and your taxes do go up. It is not explained to home buyers many, many times. D.R. Horton right now is in trouble for that because it was not explained to them and people are getting these payments that were just outrageous because we weren't explained what was going to happen after their new home was a year old. They need to be explained how much maintenance money you should be putting on the side, and then of course you still got to mow the lawn, you got to clean the windows, you got to do all those things to maintain a house. And I think you're right. More education needs to be done when it comes to purchasing a home.
But in all fairness, when you're renting, isn't all of that encompassed into your monthly payment? I mean, you've got it anyways. Trust me. When you rent,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
When you rent, the landlord is taking into consideration taxes, HOA, insurance, and that profit that they make is also put aside for new roof, new AC, new this.
Right. That's why I said when you're renting, or if you're renting a house, you're just paying somebody else's mortgage for them. That's the God honest truth. You're paying somebody else's mortgage. The only time our mortgage, the only time our rental property costs went up, we were the lowest rent in the area. The only time it ever went up, and the only reason it went up, is because our insurance and our taxes went up because we had to cover that cost. So, it happens, Text Fed Boy says Zillow really hurt the housing market in Austin, Texas area. How do you feel like it hurt? How do you feel that Zillow hurt the housing market in Austin? Austin is a really interesting housing market, and what happened in 2020 with the pandemic. It was already on the rise before that, because there was so much industry that was moving there, with SpaceX and Elon opening up a few places, and a couple of places in California. Tech companies were already heading towards that area. So it was already on the upswing. And then, of course, the pandemic put it in overdrive. They say, I talked to several agents out in that Austin area, and they say that the housing prices have adjusted about 30%, but 30% from its peak. So that doesn't mean that like people are like dying underwater. They're not, I hate when people say things are crashing when it's not necessarily the case. So, yes, Mayhem 7 says healthcare is not just a monthly payment. The deductible, the out of pocket, the network providers have a scam going on where you don't report the treatment to the insurance company and then they charge you. Yes. Oh, and then it's crazy because like the medications, this is so random. I had this weird eye rash, and I couldn't get rid of it. And I went to my general doctor. He says, well, I'm going to give you this eye cream to clear it up, but I'm going to also make you an appointment at the dermatologist. Perfect. So I go and get to fill this eye cream that he's like, this will totally cure what it is. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. The eye cream for this little rash that I have around my eyes was $375. $375. Total ridiculousness. And of course, the insurance company wasn't going to cover it. So I had to call the doctor's office, find another one. It kind of worked, So I go to the dermatologist. Dermatologist looks at it and is like, oh, did you just need this? I'm like, my insurance won't cover it. My insurance won't cover it. It's $375. And she was like, oh, well, then you can use this. I'm like, I already have that. So I wasted a trip going to the dermatologist for the medication that I actually needed for this stupid eye rash. I don't know. Anyways, Proud Liberal 24 says, NIMBY, not my backyard, stops affordable housing. So often. They have shot down. There was a community, I believe in Arizona, outside of Phoenix, that wanted to start a tiny home community. And it was going to be like over 55. The whole design was really nice, but the neighbors in that area were like, absolutely not, because they thought it was going to bring down the value of their homes in their neighborhood. Now, I'm not an appraiser, but I've seen enough appraisals done to understand that they are taking for what is going on in your specific neighborhood. Yes, they take conditions that are happening outside your neighborhood, but that isn't just because a house that's less expensive, our neighborhood that's less expensive moves into your area that's exclusively, over $1 million. That doesn't mean your houses are now all of a sudden worth half the price. I don't know where that came from. I happen to live in an area that you can walk right out of my neighborhood. You can see chickens, cows, manufactured housing. Then you see a neighborhood. Then you see a grocery store. Then you see other manufactured house. You see a farm. The appraiser isn't saying, well, now your house isn't worth, the $375,000 anymore because there's a manufactured home outside your neighborhood. That's just not how it works. Now that Zillow, though, somebody mentioned Zillow earlier, they screwed up a lot of people's home prices because of the fact that they draw this imaginary circle. The algorithm takes this imaginary circle around your house. So your house is here, and everything in that area that could fit that same square footage, that's what they're putting in as your estimate. And then they tell you that's how much your house is worth. That's why they're not very accurate, and that's why they do that. I'm sorry. I'm trying to hold it together because my dog tooted and I'm being gassed out right now. All right. Text Fed Boy says, question, where do you think the housing market will be in 2 years? Wow. Let me grab out this. You guys know this. Whoa, where will it be in 2 years? All right. This is what my gut has been telling me. And people that have been watching this live stream for a while know that I feel this way. We're at a breaking point as far as home prices. We are at a breaking point when it comes to food costs. We are at a breaking point when it comes to healthcare costs, insurance costs. And at this point, we're being squeezed to the point of no return. Wages do not match how much everything is being squeezed. I don't know how many people I've heard that are cutting back from all sorts of stuff because they can't afford the life they could afford, 3-4 years ago. They can't do it. If we continue to go down this road, I think we're going to see another market correction. I'm not going to say full on crash. Not yet. I don't feel comfortable saying that, but I can foresee, not like what they had said in the NAR. I do not think that we're going to be seeing a resurgence of homes hitting the market and people, being in a la land to buy again. I think that they're saying that we're going to be at 4% increase in home prices. I think we're going to be lucky if we get a 1.5% increase, if there's an increase. And then after that, if we have to see what adjustments are made to get more supply of affordable homes on the market. We also need to see how governments are handling bulk buying of institutional investors that buy in areas that are the most affordable so they can dictate the market. There's legislation that needs to happen with that. They need to stop a lot of this build to rent and just build houses that people can afford to buy. And it's a lot of it's out of our hands. We just need the people that we've hired to represent us the correct way. But you know how that works. Proud Liberal 24 says rent is what the market will bear. I have not raised rent in the last 3 years. The market will not allow me to raise the rent. During the pandemic in my area, rent went up extremely high, but we had very sustainable, good renters that had always paid on time. Matter of fact, they always broke up their payment between 2 weeks. They would pay with every check, half the first month and half the end of the month. And we knew that a lot of restaurants were closing, and one of our renters was a restaurant employee. We said, this is how much our mortgage is, and this is all, this is all you have to pay at this time. And the only time that we ever raised it was when we got insurance and taxes. They were good renters, and I could have easily boosted up that rent another $300 to $400. I could have easily made a mint, but my gut was telling me You have good renters that pay on time. Who knows what the next person's going to do? And we've had people tear up our houses before. It was awful. So yeah, I think we did the right thing. And those houses, again, gave us a good equity position so we could buy rental houses so our kids could rent from us. That's what we're going to do. So Who's on first says, are modular homes typically built on slabs or they can place on unfinished basements? If basements are an option, do these significantly increase the cost or complexity? I'm not a builder, but I have seen many modular homes being built. If you will go to the front page of my channel right there, the pinned video at the top is a modular home being built on a basement. You can put it on a slab, you can put it on the basement. Of course, anytime you build a house on a slab, it's going to be less expensive than a house that's on a basement. But yes, you can absolutely do that. Modular homes, like I said, are just anything you can do with a traditional stick-built home, you can do with a modular home. Manufactured homes are completely different. Those are mobile manufactured HUD certified homes. They're a completely different scenario. I have not seen it, but I have heard that you can put manufactured homes on a basement. I have never seen that before. A real estate agent in Washington, D.C., they do that there. I didn't know that. No, not D.C., Washington State. Sorry. My brain Swiss cheese. Oh, Debbie B wants to know if you have smashed the like button yet. Make sure you subscribe to be notified of the live streams and new videos. Every Monday and Friday, I put out a YouTube short. Those are fun. You guys should check those out. Did rent go up? Rent did go up significantly. Yes, rent did go up significantly across, especially in the Sun Belt. It was crazy. Like I said, in my area, I was like shocked. I'm like, people are renting that for that? It blew me away. Friend of mine, she's a renter. And she was like, have you seen these prices? I'm like, you're still paying way under market value. So she was like, oh my God. And then, people's incomes didn't increase. So Lionel says, good tenants are hard to come by. No kidding. No, we've been fairly lucky. Always like that one bad one always gets a bad taste in your mouth. I mean, she did invite rats the size of cats in my house. That was fun. She left trash in this carport sky high. So when you leave trash in a house for a year, sky high, what does that invite? Rats. And the rats were everywhere. That was fun. That was really fun to get rid of. Mary says, question, have you heard anything more on interest rates transferring your current residence to a new home? This is a proposed idea, much like the 50-year mortgage, where you can take your mortgage rate and move it to the next property. Because they say a lot of the non-movement in the housing market is that people do want to move up from their current house into a larger home, but they're like, I'm not going to give up my 2.5% interest rate and move it to the next house. There isn't been a lot of clarification on how that would work, if you're going to be able to do that. It's just a proposed idea. Now, other countries do that. I heard that it's a thing in Canada, but also you have to refinance every 5 years. I think that's the timeline. Like, you don't keep it for 30 years. You have to refinance every 5 years. So I think it's 5 years. Maybe it's 7. Anyways, regardless, that is that until there's more clarification on it, it is a way to free up some inventory, but it doesn't help with the shortage of the amount of homes that are available for first-time home buyers. It's just one more tool in the tool belt, as they say. All right. Amy says, I'm putting this out there. We, the people, need to come together and buy property and shift the market, just like game thingy. We should take the reins. There's always some kind of like, okay, and this is me, like, this is not conspiracy stuff. This is a real deal. I have been in the affordable housing space now for nearly 10 years. And there are a lot of good people with really good intentions who have really good ideas and plans to get these done. You talk to them 2-3 years later, and they have been beaten down, spent millions of dollars just to get approval. There's always someone in the way saying, nope, you can't do it. Or you're going to have to redo it. And then when you redo it, well, we didn't mean for you to redo it that way. We meant more like this. Oh, did you get the zoning for that? Oh, you can't do that here. Oh, their setbacks aren't right. Like they will wear you down until you abandon the project. Especially the more affordable the house, the more you're going to have roadblocks. They do not want to fix the problem in many areas because they think it brings in a certain element of people. That's their complaint. That's what they say, that when you offer more affordable homes, you're inviting more crime. And that is not the case. But they'll take one story or one study and they'll put that up on the screen and they'll say, yes, that's the case. See, this is what it says. And you know that's true just about anything. The one thing that I do know for sure, and I've, like I said, I've been in this for 10 years, is that the more people you have in homes that are stable homes, affordable homes that they can afford with their income, the more you have a more stable community in the long run. You have happier people, less crime, because they have affordable place to live. Yep. Deborah with Dogs says, oh, you became a new channel member. Thank you so much, Deborah with Dogs. I appreciate you becoming a member of the channel. I should do something special just for you members. Do a special live stream just for you. Maybe for Thanksgiving. Even a 30-year mortgage is too long and too expensive. It can be. Yes, it can be. My dad, I've always done a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, but then I end up financing when the interest rates go down. I retain the house with the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. When interest rates go down, then I refinance it and do it for a shorter period of time. That's what people are saying that you should do with a 50-year mortgage. But a lot of people don't do that. Maybe because they think it's a pain in the butt. Maybe they don't have the money to refinance. I don't know. I don't know what the motivation to not do it, but that's what, it's a tool. Yep. I hate that yellow brick road. What yellow brick road? Aren't we supposed to follow the yellow brick road? Hold on. I got to take a sippy sip. So this weekend, this week is Thanksgiving. I hope you guys are going to be having a fantastic Thanksgiving because I'm going to go be hanging out with my parents in their home. What are you guys doing? Who's on first says, why doesn't the government could create a program offering a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 3% directly through the federal agency, similar to how the federal student loans work? Yes, and I agree. That's a good idea for first-time home buyers. But what makes a first-time home buyer? You're going to have to iron out all the details. Because what if you bought a house with your husband who was on the mortgage and you were on the mortgage, but you weren't paying it. And then all of a sudden you get divorced. So are you now considered a first-time home buyer? Or are you no longer a first-time home buyer because you were in a house with somebody with your name on that mortgage? There's all these little things that you have to think about. The thing about not offering that now is we do not have enough houses on the market. I love the idea of offering a lower interest rate for first-time home buyers. I love that idea. But when there isn't enough homes on the market anyways, all that's going to do is drive up the price for smaller first-time homes. So anyways, I'm going to my mom and dad's. I'm making all the sides. I'm making the stuffing. I'm making the cranberry sauce. I'm making the sourdough bread. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a sourdough girly. And I'm also doing a beet salad. What else am I doing, Eddie? Mashed potatoes. And I don't do the sweet potatoes. I don't like them. I don't like them with the marshmallows. It tastes like dessert. I want Thanksgiving. Anyways, yes, turkey for Thanksgiving. My dad does the turkey. I do all the sides. My dad is a turkeyologist. He's been doing it for, he's 84 years old. So he's been doing it for 40-something plus 50-something plus years. So he does the turkey. I do the sides. Who's up first? Eddie, we just answered that question.
Actually, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I just answered it.
Okay.
Why doesn't the federal government? I just answered this. Eddie's not listening. You know what? Eddie and I are out of our minds. We just had our wedding anniversary, and we both forgot. And mostly because, like I said, we're moving 4 families right now. We're moving 4 families across the country. And at the end of the day, I was like, we just missed our wedding anniversary.
Let's be honest. I actually forgot it. I apologize.
Yep. And somebody says, I made baked sweet potatoes with butter and salt. No, not the marshmallows. Yes. Somebody says, when was the last time the government got it right? Isn't that the truth? Happy anniversary. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yep. And neither one of us, like I said to Eddie, I'm like, you know what we did for our anniversary? We bought houses. I don't need to have a special party right now. And my feet hurt so bad from walking around and carrying boxes and moving stuff around and painting. So much painting, and the fumes are giving me headaches. Yep. So anyways, I want everybody to have a happy, healthy, safe, affordable Thanksgiving. If you are looking for a more affordable Thanksgiving, no sponsor of mine. I found out about it. Aldi's is offering a $40 Thanksgiving meal, turkey included. So if you were thinking about, doing something for yourself and you were looking for something more affordable, Aldi's is doing the $40 meal.
Is it 25% less than last year? With
yes.
25% less stuff?
I don't know. Yep. So I love you guys. I really do. And thank you so much for being a part of the stream. It's always a pleasure for me and Eddie, and we always are trying to aim to make it better. If you have any suggestions for us to make this show a little bit better and more engaging for you, please drop them in the comment section. We are open to any kind of criticism, except for my appearance. I already know I'm old. I don't care. Other than that, I want you guys to be happy, healthy, and safe. Love you. Mean it. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Eddie, run those credits.